I love this. I love the fact that I'm working from home. At this point, is it a full-time income? No. I got my first teaching job at a middle school in North Carolina, and I taught there for a year. Then switched schools and continued to teach 2 more years at middle school, health and PE. I got married and had my first child and made the decision to be a stay-at-home mom. So that was where really started to have doubts into my career field of, wanting the schedule that a teacher has, but I really felt convicted that you shouldn't be a teacher just to have their schedule. You're there to mold young minds and bodies, and if I wasn't passionate about that, then it probably wasn't the best career choice. Once I started to doubt my career choices, I had finished my master's degree and applied for teaching jobs because you still have that nice loan that you have to pay back. So I had applied for several jobs in the area that came open, and just never even got a phone call. Didn't get a phone call for an interview, and it became really frustrating because I know when I was a teacher that I was a good teacher, and it was like, why? I have the master's degree, I have all the things that are desirable. I've already got a couple years of teaching experience, I have the master's degree, I have great references. Why can I not get a phone call? And I think the mounting debt and the pressure to pay off debt for a middle income class family can be very stressful, and having to defer those loans then for a year and then 2 years, it really drove me to start to think outside the box and really question, like, what am I supposed to be doing? Because I just can't see myself teaching. I could do elementary school, but middle school again, I don't know if I want to deal with middle schoolers again. And the idea of high school kids and trying to motivate high school kids to do PE is just, I don't know, it just didn't sit well with me. So I confided in a friend who she helps people develop their resumes and job hunt, and so we sat down and looked at my resume, and she made it look amazing, and then she asked me if I would think about doing a aptitude test and just see, like, is there something else out there that even with my degree that I could still get into. So I did it, and the funny thing was it came up everything that you would work with your hands, which totally made sense to me because I love to work with my hands. I am really good at drawing. I love to draw. I'm not the woman that calls her husband when something goes wrong in the house. I do it myself. So it really got the gears turning, like, wow, I never even thought about, like, looking into something other than what I said I was going to do, because, I spent all this money on this degree. It's what you're supposed to do, I guess, is what my conviction was. Like, oh, I'm going to do it. I have to do it. The idea of just working more and more with my hands, I was like, well, this totally makes sense, because these are the things that I would much rather spend my time doing. So I don't really know how I came to be like, oh, I want to work with wood. I think I have a Christmas decoration that is a snowman that's maybe 3.5 feet tall, and it's made out of 3 pieces of wood. And I got to looking at it, and I was like, I could totally do this. Like, I can draw, and all this is finding wood that fits your drawing. So the first thing I made was this little tiny heart with a snowman on it. I got a piece of scrap wood. I think I bought it at Hobby Lobby for like $2, and I drew a heart, and I borrowed a jigsaw from a friend, and I cut it out, and I was like, ooh, power tools, I like power tools. And then I drew a snowman, and I glued him on, and I practiced doing some lettering on a piece of paper, and I painted some letters on the side of it, and I took a picture of it, and I posted it on Facebook to my friends, and I was like, hey, look what I made today. And a couple people were like, holy crap, like how did you do that? And I want one. And so it just became like this rush. I mean, it was like Pinterest became like my crack. I mean, it was like I can look up woodcrafts on Pinterest and find any number of ideas, and know that, I mean, I can take their idea and I can totally make it my own. I'm not copying something that somebody else has done exactly, because I have different ideas. And it just kind of snowballed out of control, really. I mean, here I am a year later. I started last year in January in my basement, which is literally like, I don't even know how big, like an 8 by 8 foot space. And it just snowballed out of control, and I loved it. I think that was the most fun thing, was that I don't use real wood, I use all repurposed stuff. So like some of the first stuff I made was made out of my son's dresser. He had a junky dresser that needed to go, and it was like, what better excuse than to bust it apart with a sledgehammer and make stuff out of it. So the first several things that I sold were actually sold from his dresser.
The biggest obstacle was getting the tools she needed, because, you know, cutting wood and nailing it together and all that stuff it can be made very difficult, or it can be made very easy, you know, with the proper tools.
We got most of our wood from pallets. The community of Bowling Green does something called Big Trash Pickup Week, and I'm not embarrassed to say that me and several of my friends are big trash pickers. And I would drive around town with my minivan, and sometimes my kids would be with me and they'd be totally mortified. But I would look for items that I thought, like, hey, that looks like it's in decent shape. It's a piece of wood, it's not particle board. And I'd hop out and throw it in the back of my car. I think it's a lot about being able to use your imagination when you see something on the side of the road that the average person obviously is just gonna throw away, to be able to look at it and be like, no, I could make that into something really cool. You know, it was like really positive, like, wow, I like the idea of, you know, traveling to craft shows a couple times a year to sell my stuff. Like it's really kind of fun, and my kids get on board with it too. So he was definitely a huge influence once I got going and remembering the things that I had done with him. And so this summer was pretty rough on my kids. They are used to me being, you know, having their undivided attention. And they made a couple comments a few times, like, oh, mom's in her shop again, because I spent a lot of time in here. But it's also an opportunity for me to include them on what I'm doing. Like, I've taught them to use some of the tools. They have specific rules as to when they're allowed to, but you know, I taught them how to use some of the things, and you know, they don't stick with it for long, but they did have fun, like coming in and helping me assemble some things. And I think it's important to try to show them, like, look, you know, not only am I doing this because I love it, but I'm doing it to help provide for things that you like. You want to go, you know, get a membership to the city pool this year that costs money, and if I can do good at this, then we can have enough money to do that. So I think it's an awesome opportunity to be able to teach them, like, money management, time management, and all the other things that come along with it. But it definitely has been hard. That took us through this summer. I mean, a majority of my summer was spent here in my shop making stuff, neglecting, well, what I feel like is neglecting my kids, because, you know, I was like, go play outside, I'm busy. Where normally I would be like, oh, let's play a game together, or I'll quit doing whatever I'm doing and we'll go do something together. And I think I realized what most working women realize is that your kids can fend for themselves. You know, not all the time, but like, hey, you're 9 years old, you can make your own peanut butter sandwich today. You're gonna survive. So I mean, I definitely feel like I gained some confidence in that area as what a working mom must feel like.
As long as they keep all their fingers, I'm good. No, it's cool to do something that, and when we first got started, I'd help her too. I'd make a couple things. I'm not a artist by any means, but my job was to take the pallets apart. But no, it's cool. Anytime that the kids can do something with you and be involved is cool. So they've done a lot of painting and all that stuff. So yeah, it's always cool to get the kids involved, sure.
My husband is just ecstatic. I think it makes him happy to see me happy. And so I mean, like, everybody has been on board with. My friends are super supportive. They give me great ideas, great feedback. You know, and I'm not one that's like, my things are awesome and nobody can't like them. I mean, I get it that not everything is going to fit everybody's taste, and you know, and I have friends that are like, oh, I like that. I probably wouldn't have it for myself, but I do like it, and I appreciate that, because I mean, you know, you're not going to make stuff that everybody likes. But no, my friends and family have been super supportive. It makes it feel really good. Makes me feel good. My kids, as aggravated as they can get with me for times staying in here probably too long. There's days when you get hooked on making something. You're like, I just want to get this done, and I probably should have quit earlier. But even my kids, I think they get excited about the shows, because they usually come at the end of the day when the crowds are weaning out, and they can see how much was in my booth when I started and how much is gone, and they get excited about that. Like, wow, Mom, like, people like your stuff, and they took it home. And I think that's really humbling too, is like, somebody spent their hard-earned money on something that you made. Like, that's very humbling. And you know, I mean, I know how hard I hold on to my dollars. And so to know that somebody's willing to pass their money over to me to take something home that I put together, it's really kind of cool.
It's been great, and I've enjoyed seeing what she makes and how she makes it, and I hope she can continue to do it. But yes, it's been good. It's working from home, so you know, you can't really get any better than that. You know, with the kids still being small.
And then I was blessed to be able to use my degree. A friend of mine told me that BG was looking for adjunct instructors for their physical activity classes. And if you weren't a graduate assistant, you had to have a master's degree to be able to teach these courses. And they were like, don't you have a master's degree? Like, aren't you a PE teacher? It's like, yeah, I am. So I contacted the gentleman that was in charge and gave him my credentials, and we happened to know each other because his kids and my kids go to school together. And yeah, he was like, this is perfect. And I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, this is perfect. Like, it's a part-time job. It's consistent income coming in. I'm home when my kids are home. Like, this is awesome. Like, can this really be? I was super nervous about working with college kids. I don't know why. I don't know. I was like, they're all going to think I'm a dork because I've been a stay-at-home mom for 10 years and I'm more fluent in Dr. Seuss than I am in anything else. So I think first day of class, I thought I was going to vomit. I was probably more nervous than all the students put together. But I survived my first day, and it was like, this is pretty cool, because if they don't want to do the work, it doesn't come back on me. Like, I don't have to motivate them to do what they're supposed to do. You're a college student. It's up to you to do it. If you don't do it, you get a bad grade. End of story. So I felt like the pressure was off to have to like motivate you. Like, yes, you must work out. It's PE class. And I could just enjoy making a connection with some students. There's students that, you know, they come in, they sign in, they go do what they're supposed to do. But then there's other students that, you know, they just reach out, they start a conversation, and it was like being able to build relationships with kids. And I've walked with a couple through some really hard things that they've had happen this semester, and you know, I really kind of realized like it's almost like my own little mission field. Like, I have these whole group of kids that you know, like, I don't know, I just thought it's really cool. I get to use my degree. I love it, and I love the fact that I get to do that, use my degree, have a consistent income coming in. It's part-time work, and when I'm not there, I'm here in my shop doing what I love, and I can quit when my kids come home from school. I mean, so this semester has been just amazing, a total blessing. Like, everything has come together, and I'm like super happy. So I'm really excited. I didn't let it become a hobby. I didn't want it to just be like, oh, you know, I'm gonna do this for a little while. Like, I really love this. I see this in the future for my husband and I too, because he loves to get in here and make stuff. And I didn't know that he was as, I mean, I wouldn't call him crafty, but as creative as he is. And, you know, just the ideas that he has are things that I wouldn't even think of. And it's something, you know what, I'm 35, so like retirement is, you know, it does seem like it's still a long way away, but, you know, another 20 years down the road or more, and it's like you need to start thinking about, like, this would be something that we could still do, and we could do together, and it would give us the opportunity to travel. So that's where we are right now. I've done a handful of shows. I have traveled out of state to do shows. I've stayed in state in Ohio to do a few shows. Some of them have been pretty abysmal and have been a huge gut check. I did one this summer that I thought was going to be great, and I maybe sold 2 items, and I was heartbroken. I was like, did I make a mistake? Am I not, this was a stupid idea. Look at all the money I wasted on tools and paint and sandpaper. And the next month I did a show in New York, and I sold literally everything in my booth. I came home with my tent and the stuff that I set up with. And then it was like, holy crap, no, I did not make a mistake. Like, yes, I am good at what I'm doing. It was just, you know, you never know what you're going to get. And I think that's the hard part about being a crafter and being self-employed, especially in a business that deals with art, is that you're not always going to find somebody that likes your stuff. But there is somebody out there who will like it. You just have to find them.